5. I'd like to welcome everybody to this talk. I hope it can be interactive. If you have a question, just ask it, and then we'll try to address it right away, promptly when we're on the topic. A little bit about myself. I am the Polaris District Chair. Polaris is Sunnyvale, Cupertino, and Saratoga here in the Silicon Valley Monterey Bay Council. I'm also the Scoutmaster for Troop 582, which is a girl troop that we founded on the first day we could, which was February 1st, 2019. And before that, I have been involved in the brother troop of 582, 581 for 20 years. I was one of the original founding adults there as committee chair. Then I've been assistant scoutmaster, Eagle advisor, you name it. I'm also a unit commissioner for troops 404 and 406 and a merit badge counselor for a dozen merit badges. So that's me. Let's jump into the whole point of the course here. Let me get things to where they work. There we go. So what we're going to hopefully cover today is new troop formation, how you can establish a scout-led culture and why that's so important in the success of your troop. I think it's especially important in the success of a girl troop, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then the step-by-step instructions for all the nitty-gritty things that you need, as well as giving you some links to some online documentation and Google Drive where there are some resources for you to help you in starting your troop and getting it going. So the first thing we'll talk about is the operational model. I think you all are all scouters with some experience, and you remember that the charter organization is probably a corporation or a nonprofit that is supporting the troop, and they own the troop, if you will. They own all of the property in the troop, and they have responsibility because they own the troop for everything that happens in the troop. So being a charter organization is a big responsibility, and you want to find one that is supportive of the concept of girls in Boy Scouts. And as we all know, in today's climate in the United States, this is a new thing. It just started a little bit under 2 years ago, and there are still forces, kind of archaic mentalities that are not supportive. So find a charter organization that loves the idea of a girl troop and really wants to support girls getting the same experience in scouting that boys get. Now, when we talk about operational model, there's sort of two choices. And then on the second choice, there's lots of variations. So the first choice is you can be standalone. And that means that the girl troop does not have a linked boy troop. It's just a girl troop all by itself and is going to start up and run and not be linked to a boy troop. There's some good advantages to this if you have the resources to support getting the thing started, because it takes real money because you have to buy a lot of different things. As you do this, you will come to find that out. And so if your charter organization is supportive and is able to help fund you, then a standalone troop is a really interesting and great alternative. Linked troop is another alternative, and a linked troop shares committee chair and it shares the charter org representative. So those two people are the same for both boy troop and girl troop. But the Scoutmaster has to be completely different. So the Scoutmaster for the boy troop cannot be the Scoutmaster for the girl troop. However, an assistant Scoutmaster for one troop can be the Scoutmaster for the second troop. That's okay. Though we would really encourage the Scoutmaster for both troops to be fully engaged and all in on making their troop successful. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the models that we have seen. So we've been doing this since February of 2019. And I can tell you, just in our district, we have all three of these choices for how linked troops can operate running. We have very closely linked troop where The meetings are joint, the outings are joint, the PLC is joint, like everything is joint. It's almost as if the girl troop runs as a patrol in the boy troop. And then we have the complete other end of the spectrum, which is linked, but very independently run, where there's an independent PLC. They don't even meet at the same time or the same place. The meetings aren't at the same time or place. The annual plan is done separately, but the PLCs coordinate to have some joint events. And then there's things in between. I will tell you that you should choose which one of these is best for your situation. However, the experience that we see in our district is that the troops that are the bottom category, the independent girl troop or the standalone girl troop, have been much more successful at growing strongly and have become the biggest girl troops. The troops where they're closely linked and the girl troop operates within the boy troop have had a very difficult time recruiting girls. And I think it's because of some of the differences between boys and girls that we're going to talk about in this presentation, or maybe the next one. All right. The most important new hire that you have in building your troop is, and this is true for a boy troop or a girl troop, is the Scoutmaster. You really want somebody who is all in. I mean, they have fervor, they have time that they can devote, because it takes a ton of time to start a troop and to really get it going. And they have to be dedicated, and that dedication means that yes, there will be stumbling blocks along the way, curveballs that you have to deal with, and you have to, just plow through those, work around those problems, and continue. If you have the good fortune of having a Scoutmaster who is already a scouter and who knows scouting deeply, that is awesome. You might still want them to take refresher courses and get up to speed on the current state of the program. If you have a new volunteer who just is dedicated and wants to jump in, boy, is it important for that new Scoutmaster to get trained. Um, all the online training for Scoutmaster specific position training is super important, and the OLS, the outdoor leadership skills, is super important. And it's very difficult to get OLS in a lot of parts of the country right now because of COVID. You want somebody who's charismatic, somebody who is sorry, am I using, okay, if I use an acronym that you guys don't know what it means, then please just ask, and Sally or I can help you. So, or other people on the chat can help you. So good job, Erica. Alrighty, so charisma, what do I mean there? I mean, our number one job in getting this girl troop going is recruiting. And that I was just talking to Chris before everybody joined about how important it is to build your troop up to 20 scouts. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, about why that's important. But it's all about recruiting, and it's a constant job. And it's really super helpful if you have a daughter who is excited to be in the program, because you know what? If your daughter's excited to be in the program, then that gives you energy. And nothing like helping out your very own child as well as everybody else's in learning and growing through the program of scouting. So it is big work to start a troop, and your Scoutmaster has to really be devoted and ready to do it. Whoops. All right, so some startup decisions. Where are you going to meet? A very important decision. It's a little bit less important right now, but you need to have it figured out. I don't know about Tennessee, but here in California, we are still primarily meeting online with Zoom for all troop meetings, patrol meetings, court of honors, patrol leader council meetings. All of that is happening primarily online, though there are rules for taking those meetings to in person. I would say the vast majority of units are still meeting online. The next big important choice in today's highly scheduled youth environment is what day of the week are you going to meet and what time? Um, Kind of the two big choices are a Sunday afternoon, evening, or a weeknight, Monday through Thursday. Those seem to be the two popular choices. Friday nights and Saturdays are difficult as they usually conflict with outings during the month. So those are not times that are normally chosen. The next thing to think about is dues structure. You can have a very light dues structure and then pay per participation, or you can have a heavier dues structure where you figure out a budget for the year, kind of what it's going to cost you to pay the park entrance fees, to pay for food, for the outings, and then figure out kind of the average participation you expect and kind of create a budget, and then charge a fee up front that covers participation across the whole year so that parents are paid once. And so your treasurer is not constantly trying to harangue everybody to pay for the last outing. When our troop started up 21 years ago, we were doing it pay as you go, pay every outing. And oh my goodness, was it a constant struggle for the treasurer to keep track of it all and for the parents to try to pay and keep up with it. And so about a decade ago, we transitioned to the first method, which I talked about, which is there's just one fee. It's for the whole year long. It covers food. It covers the facilities costs for where we're going. The only thing it doesn't cover, it covers national fees. It covers the insurance. It covers everything except summer camps and high adventure and big expensive outings that we might do from time to time. And then, of course, you're going to need to have a bank account. And so you're going to work with your charter organization to get the bank account established, because you're going to have signatures from your charter org in establishing that. All right, recruiting. As I said, this is super duper important. My personal belief is you want to get to 20 scouts. And you want to get to a good age range. I specifically would say you want to have some 14-year-olds in your new troop in addition to your 11-year-olds. We've seen a lot of troops that start up that are filled with sixth graders. And the challenge with a whole troop of sixth graders is that unless you have an incredibly unique, precocious sixth grader, they're really not set up to be scout-led the way we want the troop to be. And so that is going to necessitate the adult taking a heavier handed involvement in running the troop. And that's not what you want to establish as your culture for your troop. You want to establish that youth-led culture. And so you need those older girls in the troop to help you to be the leaders and to take some administrative burden off the adults and to actually do some of the work for running the troop. Well, the other reason you want to get to 20 scouts, of course, is you need more adult leaders, especially women. With a girl troop, our YPT says that every event that we do, every breakout room that we have on Zoom has to have 2 registered adult leaders, 21 years and older, and one of them, minimum, has to be female. So YPT is super duper important. With the lawsuits and stuff that's going on with BSA right now, you know why it's important. We want to keep the creeps out. And so we need to follow YPT like religion. And so having a bigger troop allows you to have more adults who volunteer just by the law of averages, and you're going to not have that one female adult leader who gets burned out because she has to be at every single thing. So that is a huge motivation for you to go out and aggressively recruit, is to bring in not only more scouts, but more adults. Now, the other really cool thing that 20 Scouts gets you is it gets you a real troop that can really run the patrol method, because now you can have 2 patrols. You can have a real patrol leaders council with a senior patrol leader, an assistant senior patrol leader, and some of the other leadership positions. Even when some scout has soccer and some other scout has an orchestra, you can still have enough scouts show up at outings and at meetings, etc., to where it really feels like there's a troop here and that it's happening. So you can really have a full program offering. So I mean, even if you're at 5 today, or you're at 7 or 12 or 15, keep plugging, keep recruiting, and try to get you to over 20, and you will feel like you have arrived, because you'll start to see your troop hum in a way that is more challenging to achieve at the smaller youth counts. All right, troop identity. So you have to have a troop number. There's 2 choices for your troop number. One choice, if you're a linked troop, one choice is you can be the same last 3 numbers as the boy troop and have a different first number. And depending upon your council, it might be a 2 in the thousands place, or it might be a 4 in the thousands place. I have no idea what it is in Tennessee. What your all's council there is, Eric, or Chris, I'm sorry. But that's a typical way it's handled across the nation, is to keep the last 3 digits the same and have a different first digit. The other choice is to just pick a different number. And what we did in our troop is we had a vote and we let the girls choose. And we gave them a choice. Do you want to be 2,581, or do you want to be 582? And I had pre-approved 582 with council, so I knew it was available for us. And the girls voted, and they overwhelmingly selected to be a different troop number. And this kind of trend is something that I have noticed the entire 19 months of, or 20 months of running this, the girl troop, is the girls want their own identity. They want to be separate. They want to run their own troop. They don't want to be under the boys, or closely associated. The next thing is a troop motto. Our troop has a troop motto, and this is purely optional. I think a lot of troops don't have a motto, but our troop does have one, and it's really pretty cool. And it's nobody walks alone. And what it means for our troop is that we are a big family. We don't have cliques. Everybody's a friend to everybody else. We all take care of each other in the entire troop. And that has been a pervasive culture that has been at the troop from when it was 12 scouts originally all the way up to 52 scouts today. And it's awesome to see, because when these girls go to junior high school, when they're dealing with their social groups in their other part of their life, there's all these cliques and groups and whatnot, and they belong or they don't belong, and none of that is present in our troop. So I constantly get that kind of comment at Scoutmaster conferences about how they love the fact that everybody is their friend. So then once you have a troop number, you might want to think of a troop logo. And by logo, I mean, like, what symbol, what artwork is going to represent your troop on your activity shirts, which are also called Class B t-shirts, or your neckerchief. Do you want to have a custom neckerchief? And so what we did on this for this last 3 bullets is our girls had a contest. And there was lots of logo designs that were then anonymized, put up on a Google form for there to be a troop-wide vote. The logo was selected through an anonymous vote, and it was an awesome logo. And so we've used that ever since, and it's turned out really, really great. And so I would encourage you to let the girls participate in creating the logo for your troop. You'll be really pleasantly surprised at the quality of artwork that you get. Okay, so PLC elections. This has to happen pretty soon in the formation of your troop, but I would suggest you don't do it immediately. Rather, let the girls get to know each other first. Have a few meetings, have an outing or two, so that The girls get to see who each other is, what their strengths are, who do they want to follow, who do they want as their leader, to choose for their senior patrol leader, and who do they want, how do they want to form their patrols. And then you hold a secret ballot vote to choose your SPL, and then the SPL chooses the other leadership positions in the PLC. And this is pretty standard for all troops, boys and girls. The patrol leader is also chosen within the patrol on a secret ballot vote, and the patrol leader then chooses her assistant patrol leader and her patrol quartermaster. Okay, so I think I handle what all those acronyms are. SPL is Senior Patrol Leader, PLC is Patrol Leaders Council, PL is Patrol Leader, and there you go. Okay, so now that there has been an election, a very early thing to do is to have a patrol leader council meeting. And this is the meeting where the girls start to run the troop. So this is really pivotal and a really important meeting. And the first job for them is to plan the year. What do they want to do? What outings do they want to go on? When do they want to have outings that are joint, and when do they want to have outings that are independent? And how frequently are they going to have outings? The other thing that we do in our troop is we draw on some of the skills that some of our leaders have learned in Wood Badge, and we take some of that learning to the PLC and start to teach the youth as well. And that is SMART objectives. And that stands for, it's an acronym, a set of criteria that each goal has to meet. So it has to be significant. It has to be measurable, which means you know if you did it or didn't do it. It has to be attainable, relevant, and realistic, and then time-based. Question? Okay, so that's, and each position in our PLC creates their own SMART goals. And whether they are the bugler, you know, the OA representative, the senior patrol leader, you name it, they all have goals that they're working on for their 6-month term of office in the Patrol Leaders Council. Then there are some patrol decisions to be made. And so now you're working at the patrol level, and this is, you know, how do you divide up your scouts into patrols? And what I have done is I don't do that. That is not something that the Scoutmaster or the assistant Scoutmasters decide. I let the Patrol Leaders Council figure out how to divide up the patrols. And this is really a critical thing for you to think about, because if you are successful in recruiting and you're growing your troop, you're going to grow from 1 patrol to 2 patrols to 3 patrols, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we're at 5 growing to 6 patrols in our troop. And the girls love staying in their patrol, but it's not necessarily the right holistic answer over time. And so there's this very complicated process that the girls go through, involving tons and tons of conversations between everybody to figure out how to optimize this process. And it is amazing to watch and sit back and be a Scoutmaster and just let it happen, because they figure it out, and at the end of it, it works and nobody has hard feelings. And it was a lot of work on the part of the youth leadership to make it happen, and very successful. And once you have patrols, of course, then patrol names, patrol flag, patrol yell, those things are super important. And I think it's really important to establish that whole patrol spirit concept and methodology within a troop. So our patrols have gotten very, I mean, this has really developed. They have patrol flags that they take to summer camp, and they have awards that are on the patrol flags for cooking competitions, for inter-patrol games, all this kind of stuff. And so they're very proud of what their patrol has accomplished. And they have great patrol yells that they all do. in sequence and at a flag ceremony, and it's awesome to watch, or when we're doing a cooking contest or what have you. At any rate, those things are really good and really important and really help establish patrol identity. I mean, then with patrols, you have to decide how you're going to run your patrol meetings. Are you going to have them as a part of your troop meeting? I know a lot of troops that do that. I personally, our troop does it differently. We have patrol meetings one week on the night when our troop meets, and then the next week we have troop meeting on that night. And so we alternate hopscotch, patrol meeting week, troop meeting week, patrol meeting week, troop meeting week. And the patrol meetings happen at our patrol leader's house. And they, with full YPT, 2 adult registered leaders with gender appropriate situation. And it's working really super well. And it allows the patrols to really gel and to really take on the responsibilities that you want them to take on as a patrol. So, okay, now here's why, here's the hard thing, the money thing, and this is really a hard thing. We were very fortunate when we started that our boy troop, our brother troop, loaned us $3,000 essentially to start our troop. And we used it, and we've been paying them back. And this only in this last few months have we finally paid them back for that loan. And why is that? It's because here's all this stuff. You want to have a troop flag because when you go to your district camporee or you go to summer camp, you're going to proudly display your troop flag. You want a UoS flag and a stand so that you can have your flag ceremonies. And you need stands for both of those, obviously. Neckerchiefs, if you're going to have custom neckerchiefs, those end up costing $15-ish each. And yeah, maybe everybody buys one, but you still have to front the big purchase of ordering however many you have to order to make it a reasonable price per neckerchief. Activity shirts. If you're going to get custom activity shirts with your logo on it, then that costs typically $15-ish each. And you can get fast wicking, really nice synthetic t-shirts that are, female fit for $15. And there's several places online and probably even in your local community where you can do that. For us, we did a custom troop number. So we got the 582 instead of a single 5 and a single 8 and a single 2, just one big number that we ordered through the Scout Shop. Obviously, a lot of these things you can forego. You can get standard neckerchiefs, you can get standard activity shirts, you can get standard, the single troop numbers, and you can delay the decision to spend money on these until you get to the right troop size to be able to afford to do that. Patrol patches. Similarly, like we have some custom patrol names, like we have a midnight patrol. Well, there's no such thing as a midnight patrol patch. So they designed their own patch and ordered custom patches. Turned out to be like $2 or $3 a patch, I think, for that. And then the patrol box, which is all the shared cooking equipment that is needed for the patrol to function. And that turns out to take a significant amount of money to do per patrol. Okay, training, super duper important. This is something that I really strongly care about. I think if you want to have an awesome troop, you need trained leaders. So you want to get your adults position trained as soon as possible. The Scoutmaster, the assistant Scoutmasters, that's who's really important. Your committee people, for them to understand what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing inside the troop, it's really great for them to get position trained as well. And the nice thing about committee members is they can do it completely 100% online, whereas your ASMs have to do outdoor leadership training, which takes, OLS, which takes a weekend of outdoor training and may or may not be offered at this point in time. The next thing is the ILST. Here's another acronym for you. ILST stands for the Introduction to Leadership Skills for Troops. Back in time, this was called Junior Leader Training. For those of you who are scouters who've been around for a while. So it's now called ILST. And initially, you're going to want to, your first 1 or 2 of these, you're going to have the adults teach, because very likely your scouts aren't equipped to teach this to each other. But after you get rolling as a troop, what you really aspire to is for the scouts to teach each other. So the outgoing Patrol Leaders Council has the responsibility to put on the ILST for the incoming Patrol Leaders Council. And we, in our troop, we do this every 6 months. And the outgoing SPL is the scout in charge to run the ILST for the next, for the PLC for the next 6 months. And by training for adults and training for youth is how you deliver great program. And if you forego getting trained as adults and youth, then you're going to be missing this, that, or the other thing that, if you didn't miss it, would make your program better. So I highly, highly recommend training. Okay, other things that are important: your website, or your Facebook page. This is how you, one of the ways you can be discovered. And as we said, recruiting is super important. So if people come to your Facebook for your troop and they go, wow, that's cool, then now all of a sudden you have an image in those people. Same with your website. And so figuring out how to get a cool website and a cool Facebook page is going to really help you with your recruiting. Troop Parent Handbook is something that honestly is a nice to have, but could be deferred. There's so many things to do. If it was up to me, and I didn't have one of these that I could take and modify easily to make it mine, I would defer this. But it's great to have by the end of year 1 or into year 2, so that you can set expectations with parents on what it means for their youth to be a scout in your troop, and what it means for them to be a parent in your troop, and everything that they need to know about the program and how things operate. Scoutbook has quickly, because of COVID and a timely decision by National, become the de facto way to communicate with your unit, to track advancement, and to do many things, to plan your events and so forth. So using Scoutbook, becoming familiar with it, National is just going to go more and more into depending upon Scoutbook. So if I were you, I wouldn't use one of the third-party platforms at this point. I would just go straight to Scoutbook. We deferred maybe 6-9 months after troop formation of jumping into Scoutbook because it was in early beta in early 2019, and we were afraid. Says Silicon Valley, you learn that beta equals pain. And so we waited, and that was good that we waited, but now it works pretty good. And there's a few glitches every now and then, but they easily get solved, and it's getting better all the time. Okay, what is a new scout onboarding info sheet? Hey, you know what this is? This is, I've got this new youth. They say they want to join. Here is one document that says all the stuff that they need to do. Where do they get their uniform? What kind of stuff can they buy from our troop, like custom t-shirts or what have you? What do we give them? Do we give them a neckerchief? What kind of neckerchief do they buy? When do we meet? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What are the dues? Everything that they need to know about our troop is on that sheet of paper as a new scout and as a new scout's parent. And so just putting that one little piece of paper together is hugely helpful in helping that scout come on board quickly, efficiently, and feel like they belong in the unit because they show up with their t-shirt and they show up with their Class A and they look spick and span and sharp. And then a recruiting info sheet is different. It's like outwardly facing to people who aren't in the troop yet, and why their youth, their child would want to join this troop. And I think there's 2 flavors of this. There's a flavor that is focused on parents, and that speaks to the things the parent cares about. And there's a second flavor, which is a flavor oriented to the youth and speaks to the things that the youth care about. And I can tell you, like I asked my daughter, as I was putting these two presentations together for University of Scouting, I'm like, hey, what makes a really great scout troop? And she had a one-word answer. And I bet most of you on this call know what the one-word answer is. Outings. What scouts love about scouting is outings. And so one of the things, if you're making that recruitment info sheet for girls, you want to have pictures showing girls doing awesome things. Hang glide, well, you can't do hang gliding, but anything cool that you can do in scouting, you want to have pictures on there showing girls doing that stuff, and girls, not boys. We used to recruit at elementary schools for the boy troop for years and years, and we had these big trifold posters, and they'd be on the table, and the elementary school kids come by, and it would always be the girls, and they would always come by and they would go, I want to do that stuff. And then the other girl, because they always come in packs, would say, oh, you can't, that's Boy Scouts. Okay, but guess what? Now they can. And so now the girls get to do all the cool stuff that the boys used to be able to do, and they love it. Okay, so your paperwork, this is the boring stuff. You gotta get a charter agreement signed with your charter organization. You have to have registration form for each youth. You have to have the medical forms A and B. Oh, it's actually A and B1 and B2, and their insurance card. And you have to have annual dues for each youth. Then for the adults, the registration form, which is going to have an approval for a background check as a separate part of the form that they have to do. And then their YPT certification, and then their medical forms. And again, A, B1, B2, an insurance card. That's the paperwork you need. And you turn all of that into the council to begin operations, get registered, and be official. Alrighty, and then here are the resources that I think you may find very useful. This first link is a checklist that can be used to form when forming a new unit. And this has been used by literally dozens of units, and I've gotten very, very good feedback from units who really, really like this, because it's laid out in its multiple pages. It's relatively detailed, and it covers a ton of things that you need to think about in creating a new unit, but not in a lot of prose, rather a very bullet checklist kind of a format. And if you have questions about any one of the things, you can go do research and dive into what it means to do that particular thing. The second thing is a paper that was written, and I, with no apology, stole it off the web somewhere, about what it means to be an adult in a scout run troop. And this is all about establishing that scout-led culture that is so essential to giving the full experience of what it means to be in Scouts BSA. And I can tell you, like I said, I did boy troop for 19 years and girl troop for 2 years now. And the girls are awesome at running scout troops. They are fantastic. They plan well, they communicate well, they coordinate, they run PLC meetings in a way that as a boy troop scoutmaster, I always dreamed would happen and never did. It is a pleasure and a joy to be a scoutmaster of a girl troop, because they really, really do a fantastic job of running it. And part of that is because I have some older girls, and part of it is because just on average, girls are in that middle school, high school age band. They're a couple of years more advanced than the boys. The boys catch up, by the end of high school, but in that middle school, that 13, 14, 15 time frame, the girls are just out in front. And they're like your senior boys, but they're an 8th grader being like that. And you're just like, wow, it's really, really great. And so you can be that adult who sits back and lets them run things and just provides that catalyst every now and then with an idea, or, hey, what did you think about such and such? And they'll be like, oh yeah, that's great. And they go after it. The BSA Brand Center, this is an awesome site that National provides that has all kinds of pictures that you can totally use, that you don't have to get anybody's permission in your marketing materials. And then this G drive here is a Girl Troop Resources G drive. And it has tons of stuff in it. So you are more than welcome to use that. This presentation, let me, I'm going to stop sharing.
Oh, I can put that link.
Put the link for.
Oh, that's a different link. Okay.
Well, go ahead and put
it.
the link that I gave you in there, because that has this presentation in that folder.
Yeah, working on it.
And then they can get all of these links from this presentation. Okay, so with that, I would like to open this up for questions. We got another 15 minutes or so,
no, you
and
got 5.
I'd love to answer any questions that you guys. Oh, 5. I have 5 more minutes, and then I'd love to answer any questions you have.
Yeah.
No questions?
Great information. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If anybody else has any questions, can you talk a little bit more about recruiting?
Yes. So we have recruited, we started this year at 39 scouts, and we are right now at 52. So we've done 33% growth. And the way we have recruited this year is not the way we recruited in the past. The way we would recruit in the past is we would go to the spring social events at the schools, at the elementary schools and the middle school. We'd have a table, we'd have some scouts in uniform, we have some moms who are there to talk to the other moms. And through that social interaction at the school events, we would recruit. That didn't work this year. Obviously, we're all sheltered in place and we can't interact. So we've used the parent networks. So what we've done is we've armed our parents with flyers and information that they can hand to other parents. And everybody else, all these other parents, their kids aren't doing school sports. They're not doing extracurricular sports. Like, all the activities that kids are normally doing are shut down. And Scouts is something they can do right now, and they can do it safely. And so our parents have been our promoters, and they've been handing out these flyers through their networks, the parent networks, mom to mom, dad to dad. And it's been very, very effective. And the second thing that we've done is we've done the Bring a Friend meetings, where our scouts bring a friend to a troop meeting, and it's a troop meeting specifically designed as a recruiting meeting. So it's not a bunch of internal, this, that, or the other thing, but a, fun learning experience and a fun game, and some breakout rooms with Q&A where there's icebreaker kind of stuff going on, that the girls that are visiting get to meet the girls that are there and interact and communicate and have social experience. And one of the things that I've found this year to be incredibly important is that social interaction. They are using the troop as a substitute for what they used to get in school with their friends in between classes, while waiting in line for the bus, after school. They don't have any of that right now. And, their classes, log on, shut up, you're listening to your teacher, and then log off and go to your next class. And so they really, really love it. And they've set up a Discord. I don't know how many of you know what Discord is, but it's like originally conceived as a gaming chat voice system. And they play, what's this? Among Us. So they play this online game called Among Us, and they are all on the Discord, and they're all chatting together and having fun. And it's just this great community that they're building of friendship that they get to experience through having met each other in the troop. It's awesome.
Dave, I was struck by how important building the identity of the troop is. And you know, in hindsight, it's kind of obvious, but I suspect that's particularly important for the girls, is to have the troop identity and then the patrol identity and bonding.
Right. Yeah, I think that's right. I think, you know, I don't know how many of you are going to go to the next presentation, but it's all about operating a high performing girls troop. And there's a lot of things about like some of the traditional things that people thought were different between boys and girls are not different at all. Like girls love risk. They love going out there and, you know, doing all of the high adventure stuff. They love backpacking. They love, you know, hey, it's snowing. Yeah. You know, I mean, they totally thrive on all that stuff that they weren't supposed to thrive on. No, they thrive on it, but like they're not competitive. Like, you know, this whole idea of each patrol competing, like, you know, they'll collaborate in their competition. It's kind of interesting to watch. And they communicate more and they care a lot more about establishing bonds with each other. So one of the common comments I get in Scoutmaster conferences is, oh, I really love my patrol. Boy, I wish I got to spend more time with the girls in the other patrols, you know, so I want to get to know them more. And so there's that, that's a complete, you would never hear that with the boys ever. So it is different. And I think you're right, Sally, that is a big part of it, is creating that environment where they feel safe because they're in the troop and the whole troop is the clique, instead of, you know, this little table at lunch, you know, kind of a thing, is big time important. All right, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. This Google Drive has this presentation in it and some other materials. And then the links that are on this last page here will take you to another Google Drive that has a whole bunch more. So I think you have more reading than you possibly will want to dive into for a while.
Okay. And
Thanks very much.
I hope a lot of you are joining
Yeah,
us
thank
for
you.
the second presentation. We have to log out of this one and go log into that one, but hopefully we'll see you back in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Dave.